Okay, we are live.
Awesome, awesome.
So I guess hopefully people will start showing up soon or someone. I just told Connor we were about to start, so hopefully he'll show up and other peeps. Hopefully.
Well, if we can get at least one other person, if not two, I will show the
That
video
clip.
of the wedge from today.
Okay. I guess this is an actual video. I guess we should introduce ourselves. So I'll let you go first, Mark.
All right. My name is Mark Eslick. I go to Texas Tech University, geophysics major, minor in atmospheric science. I've been storm chasing for 11 years now. I've seen 56 tornadoes, and weather's just awesome in general.
Okay, well, if you haven't been to my YouTube page, I am Tyler Hudson. I am a geophysics major also with a minor in atmospheric science. But I think Mark and I were both thinking about wind energy instead, right?
Yeah, really considering it. We are going to take a class next semester in one of the intro classes and debate if that's what we want to do.
And I'm also a student at Tech. Um, I only started storm chasing this past few months, about 6, 7 months. Actually, my first chase was with Mark, and we were um, in the same area as the Mayflower, Bologna, Arkansas tornado on April, was it the 27th?
27th.
And it was a EF4 tornado. Um, yeah, that was a crazy first experience as a storm chaser, and we've been on a couple of other chases since with nothing happening. Um, but also, I guess, Mark, what got you into meteorology?
Uh, ooh. So I don't know how many people are going to be old enough to remember this, but there was a really bad tornado in central Texas back in May of 1997, and I was 9 years old, almost 10, and it started um, west of my parents' house, or where I live, and it eventually hit Gerald, Texas, as an F5, and getting to witness it firsthand was pretty amazing. So I've always had a love for tornadoes, and uh, like I said, I've been doing it for 11 years. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, my experience is not as intense or anything, but my the actual thing that got me into meteorology was the um, 1997 movie Twister. I saw it when I was 3, and it just blew my mind, no pun intended. And I don't know, just seeing the awesome power of tornadoes in that film just really captured my attention and been obsessed ever since. Um, so I actually haven't been through a tornado like Mark has. I haven't actually seen a tornado. Um, I mean, yeah, like I said, we were in the Mayflower, Bologna, Arkansas tornado, but I never actually saw the actual tornado. We saw the amazing storm structure. There, it was a great storm structure, and the aftermath of some of the damage, which was really crazy. You can see all that stuff on TV, but it doesn't really like you can't experience it unless you're there. So, like I cried. It was very emotional. So, I guess to
Um,
some viewers, but
what I would like to do is, I know I talked to you about my uh, escapade or my episode with the Gerald tornado, but for those that are interested in seeing what happened, I'd love to share that. We typically see tornadoes go from the southwest towards the northeast, and that's how most storms do it. However, this one followed I-35 south, which actually runs southwest, not really south. And I have a video on YouTube that I would like to share my screen and show everybody. So let me get this pulled up, and I will share this. So hopefully you can all see this right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video and turn off the sound. There shouldn't be any sound to it. But as you can see, the storm is going south from Belton towards Georgetown as it just kind of blows up. And that's really odd for a storm to do, let alone a supercell. And so as you can see, the tornadoes, that red dot, and you see a couple of more that are kind of in there, and you can see between the red and the green right there where the tornado was. But one interesting thing is the KGRK radar was down and was not able to get radar, and that's why it doesn't look like it's circling around this radar. It looks like it's coming from the south. Is because San Antonio radar was the closest that we had to Gerald that could actually get the tornado picked up. So unfortunately, I don't remember the cause why it was down. They were either doing some work or something had hit it. I don't remember. But there's a good image right there. You can see an intense storm coming down the interstate. But I just wanted to share that with you because a lot of people ask me about that. So
Yeah, I've never actually looked at the radar image of Gerald, but yeah, I read that it did go southwest, which is very odd. Do we know why it went southwest? Did it just follow the dry line, or
it had to do with the way the boundary set up, and yeah, it did follow the dry line south. I think it was the dry line. The cold front had kind of stalled out, and they weren't expecting it to do that, and things just went very weird that day. I remember waking up that morning; it was very eerie, and just kind of happened. So it was a horrible event. What happened to Gerald? I mean, it messed the city up so bad, and cars were stopped on the interstate. But it was a beautiful scene for what happened. At least beautiful to me.
what's interesting to me is that I've read multiple times that people consider if there ever was an F6 on the Fujita scale, then the Gerald tornado would definitely have been an F6. Just because one, like we've talked about this before, but it dug what was it, 6-inch trench into the ground, and it like ripped off the foundation of houses, right? Like it just ripped off part of the cement, part of the foundation.
We're talking about cement that's supposed to be the foundation of a house that's just completely ripped up. That was one of the most violent tornadoes that's ever happened. I mean, there's still been pretty bad tornadoes, but it's one that tops the list.
I mean, I guess you would think. I mean, I don't think even the Moore '99 tornado had that much power, and that's considered. I think that's still considered the strongest tornado on record, with wind speeds up to 318 miles per hour, I believe, is what it was.
That is correct, 318 miles an hour. And
so I mean, even if the Moore tornado didn't even do that, then I would have to think the Gerald tornado would have wind speeds of at least maybe 330, at least.
And it's possible. It's just hard to tell, especially when the local radar site is down and we're having to use other radar sites which are further away. I think of San Antonio being about 160 miles from me. And so from Gerald, that's probably about 100 miles, maybe a little more, about 110, 120. And so the further the radar goes out, we know that the worse the scan is going to be. And with us being so far away, we are on the very edge of that scan.
It's very interesting to think that out of all the days that the radar in that area would have gone down, it would have been on that day, which is weird.
It was a great day though. It's something I'll never forget. So.
I also think on that day I know there were at least two other tornadoes. One was an F2 in or was it F3 in Cedar Hill? That was on the same day, right?
Cedar Park. It was an
Cedar Park,
F4,
yeah.
and it hit in Albertsons that day. It was
Right.
actually from the same cell that had the Gerald tornado. When it hit Gerald, and the
Oh,
tornado
okay.
finally dissipated, it continued on. But Austin area got, I think, 3 or 4 tornadoes after the Gerald one, including the Cedar Park tornado. So it was a very active day for Austin. It really started. I know that one of them that the Gerald kind of started from was from the Moody area, and I'm from Bruce Palladium. Moody is about 7 miles to my west, and I am smack dab between Waco and Temple. It
Right.
didn't go as far as north as Waco. So it started, I believe, in Lorena, which is right south of Waco, and that's where it all headed south. But a very odd day for weather, and definitely one that's going to have a lasting impact for all of weather history.
Oh, definitely. Um, for just a second before we start talking about the actual movie, if y'all aren't really into weather news or anything on Facebook or whatnot, Los Angeles was actually hit by a tornado. I think it was 2 days ago, whenever that large storm system uh, came in from the northwest, and the one that dumped like over 9 inches of rain in parts of California. That same storm system spawned I think National Weather Service said it was an EF0 tornado um, in the southern suburbs of Los Angeles. There's a video of the tornado too, of a person who filmed their house getting hit by the tornado. Um, oh look, we have two viewers. But yeah, have we ever heard of Los Angeles ever getting hit by tornadoes?
Um, I mean, it's a rare occurrence, and I'm sure there's a sci-fi movie about one of them happening. But
The day after tomorrow?
yeah, well, I'm sure there's like 20 of them because Los Angeles seems to be that, or New York seems to be the popular place to see a tornado happen.
Well, to be fair, New York does get hit by tornadoes a couple of times.
Not as drawn out like an EF5 from a
Oh
sci-fi,
no, no, no.
or one that's
But
going to throw sparks at you. Um, but I mean, it is. I mean, it's happened before. It's just not as frequent.
right.
It's really rare that it happens. But just like it was crazy that a couple weeks ago with snow, for example, everybody, every state, all 50 states saw snow at the same time. I mean, you think of Hawaii. Hawaii was up in the mountains, but all 50 states saw snow, and so I think if that can happen, then I guess anything can happen.
Yeah, I told my mom about the tornado in Los Angeles, and she was like, she's now convinced that the world is ending. And I'm like, Mom, I think it would have been a little more dramatic if we're talking about the world ending, if you're basing that opinion on an EF0 tornado. I mean, California gets tornadoes. I mean, there's no denying that with, I guess, some type of land spout type tornadoes, or the very rare supercellular tornadoes that California does get. Um, I don't think I actually looked at the radar image of the storm that spawned the tornado. Um, I guess it obviously if it was that destructive, it was probably I say that destructive as an EF0, but it seems like a supercell like tornado from what I could tell in the video. Even in the video, you can't really see the actual tornado. You could just see it, just a ton of debris flying around. But yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I'm sitting here doing some reading on this storm that came through, and I think it's going to try to play something. But yeah, they're saying EF0 that it just startled some people, but there wasn't. Of course, it tries to play video. But looking at the storm, there's just not a lot from it. I mean, it did some damage. It ripped off some roofs. It threw some, apparently threw some cars kind of around a little bit. But there's nothing crazy about it. Like, there was a lot of mud with this and some mudslides, but there was nothing crazy about this tornado. It's just where it happened, and just got people's attention. But that was really about it. There wasn't anything crazy about it.
well, I guess there's two people that keep popping in and out of the actual event, but there's someone watching us right now, and I'm pretty sure it's Connor. So, um, whoever is watching, I don't know who it is exactly, but we have a Q&A app opened, and you can ask us questions, and we'll be able to answer them. Um, and I guess since this is a Into the Storm movie review discussion type video, that I guess we can start with talking about what I guess our first reaction to the movie was when we first saw it. So, Mark, I'll let you go first.
Well, so the movie had an interesting take on it. So when I didn't get to see it the day it came out. I was out of town for a couple weeks. But when I came back, I got to watch it, and I went in there with no judgment. I only saw the trailer a couple times, so I went in there with no expectations on what it was going to be like, what to expect. Just complete, just empty mind about everything. And so watching it, I really got sucked into the storyline. I wish there were more tornadoes in it. I wish there were more weather-related stuff, but I understand that they needed a plot to make it into a movie, not a documentary. And so I get the angle that they came in from, but I felt like the acting could have been better. But overall, I really liked it. I just better acting and way better effects. Like the effects could have been way better. But the most of the actors and actresses were, I think, played a pretty good role for where they were cast. So I enjoyed the movie, but now as I watch it, I actually just it's funny that we're doing this Q&A because I actually watched the movie probably about 2 hours ago with my parents, and now that I've watched it a couple times, I start judging what I see wrong, and which I shouldn't do, and that's just because my Storm Chaser and Storm Pass that I have. But yeah, if I didn't like the movie, I wouldn't watch it again and again. But yet again, I love tornadoes, so I'll probably always watch it again and again.
Well, actually, I saw I saw it with Mark. I saw it with you. Me, our chaser friend Stacy, and his girlfriend at the time. We all went to the, was it midnight premiere, something like that.
It was,
Um,
yeah, like,
and I, like Mark said, he didn't watch the trailer that much. I was completely different. I completely psyched myself up, which I tend to do with movies because I'm actually a big book reader. So when movies like The Hunger Games or Divergent or anything like that comes out, I wait for a trailer and then I watch the crap out of it and then I psych myself up. Um, I saw the trailer for the first time in like the hour it was released in April, and um, I never heard of the movie up until then. It was just one of those uh, like Facebook was advertising it, and I was like, "What's this?" So I clicked on it, and then I really loved the trailer. Um, I still think actually, I'll talk about it here in a minute, but yeah, actually, going into the movie, I was not expecting a twister. Um, Twister will always be the best weather film in general, not just about tornadoes, but I haven't seen another natural disaster film that at least attempted to create the actual event accurately. Um, Twister was a big deal back in the day with the new technology and whatnot. So I was not going into this movie thinking that it was going to be up to that level. I hoped it would try at least. And I remember walking out of the theater and feeling a little stifled. It's not bad. I obviously like the movie, but there were some things I really didn't really care about. Um, my big complaint, and I've talked about this multiple times with Mark, is that I don't think we spent enough time with the tornadoes. I mean, each tornado was, I guess, each scene was at least 2 minutes each, except for the F5 at the end. I feel like that was more like 10, 15 minutes. And I mean, to be fair, the movie is only actually I have my DVD here. It is 89 minutes, which is not that long of a movie. And I think it's just different because they didn't have the same budget that Twister had. I mean, Twister had like millions of dollars getting thrown at it because it was this big deal new movie coming out because they were trying to. The reason why Twister was even made was because they were trying to make it the next Jurassic Park. I mean, the same producers of Jurassic Park were tied into it. The author of the Jurassic Park novel wrote the screenplay. So I think they were just trying to make it a more technologically advanced movie at the time and completely succeeded, obviously. Um, I think it's one of the uh, best rated or best well-known movies of the 90s. It was the highest grossing movie of 1997. But with Into the Storm, like, Twister's about 2 hours long, right? Actually, I have Twister here too. Twister's 113 minutes. So, I mean, it's not too much longer than Into the Storm, but, I mean, you could tell quite a bit of difference. I mean, like I said, that's my big complaint is we didn't spend enough time with the tornadoes. But actually, Mark, since you said that you actually like it less the more you watch it, I actually have the opposite effect. I actually like it more as I watch it, just because the thing is, people like you and me will go into this movie and we're gonna judge the crap out of it just because that's how we are. Um, there's things that are gonna bug us about these types of movies. Um, and yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about um, that. But also, the biggest complaint, other than that, is that stupid fire tornado. So I guess, Mark, we can talk about that fire tornado. So, um, what do you want to say about that?
Um, it's it's a very interesting scene, to
Right.
say the least. I mean, I like how I like how they did it, how they made it work for the film. I mean, it kind of fit the rest of the production, and so that was great. But as far as a fire tornado itself. Um, like I know that you can have tornadoes happen and fires, kind of start, or strong winds with the fire and cause it to kind of look like a tornado, but it's not a tornado. The winds are not strong enough to classify it as a tornado. It may look like one, but with the tornado, I don't think the fire could sustain itself.
Well, I think in the film it's actually an oil tanker that was blown over, and then power lines were blown over, and it caused a liquid fire, which was drawn up into the funnel itself. Which I guess that would work. I mean, physics wise, but it's so far fetched. I mean, if they're trying to go for realism in this movie, that's not the way to do it. Like I hate the fire tornado. I think it's the one of the dumbest things I've ever seen tornadoes be associated with. But I mean, the thing is there are a couple of accounts where actual fires, like forest fires or like just fires, like really big fires, they can create their own environment. They can create thunderstorms. They can create huge wind gusts, and there are actually a couple of different accounts where um, fires have caused tornadoes. Like I read an account where there's this fire in somewhere in Canada, and it became this huge fire. I think it was at some type of hay farm where they rolled up bales of hay and whatnot. And all the hay caught on fire, and it was like millions and millions of dollars worth of hay just going up in smoke. And it was really windy that day, and it actually caused a very intense, I'm going to say tornado, lack of a better word. I mean, it wasn't a legit tornado because it wasn't associated with a cloud, but um, it was strong enough to rip apart the building that was in the area, and actually picked up a truck and threw it 100 yards and killed the man inside, um, which is mind blowing to me because that's not even a supercell tornado. It's not even a thunderstorm tornado, and yet it was able to do that much. So I mean, I guess it's plausible. I just don't like the way it was handled in the movie itself. So
I mean, with the budget they were on and what they were given, I see why they did what they did. But as far as trying to apply that to real life, I'm not saying it will never, ever, ever happen, but the chance of it happening is so unlikely.
right. Um. Well, I'm going to go get a glass of water. So Mark, I'm going to let you take over for a minute, and I'll be right back.
All right. So I guess just kind of seeing if we have any questions, and it doesn't look like anybody has put anything on here. And Tyler said he could see a couple of viewers, but I don't see anybody, so I just assume I'm talking to myself. But I will continue talking because I seem to be pretty good at talking to myself. So we'll I don't know, just kind of go over a couple things. So, Into the Storm. It's worth seeing if you haven't seen it yet. Like I said, I really like the actors and actresses in it. The girl that played Allison, she's really pretty. So that was kind of awesome, and it was just a really well put together movie, especially with the special effects that they had done to make all these things happen, such as when Jacob was in the fire tornado. I don't know if anybody's seen the outtakes or how the behind the scenes or anything, but they actually pull him up like by a crane on a strap, and that's what causes him to go in circles. So that was really cool. So they did some really cool effects, and like with the hell when they were at the hotel and she covers up her head with the laptop. It's they're dropping it from us from like an ice crusher, and so it's just kind of flying and hitting them. So I mean, it's not the most technological way to do it, but it's still a pretty cool way.
So um, let's talk about the F5 EF5 tornado at the end of the movie. Um, and I guess this is going to be a weird comparison, but how would you compare the F5 in Twister to the EF5 uh, in this film?
Um, I I don't really know if there's a way to compare them because they are so opposite. I mean, EF5, F5 at the time it was F5 because Twister still using the F scale, but it's so hard to compare them. The EF5, or excuse me, the F5 in Twister was really organized. I like the effects of it. And Twister was such a great movie. But with Into the Storm, the EF5 at the end seemed way too big, way too. It just seems so fake. I mean, I enjoyed it and I appreciate everything that happened with it, but it just seemed so unnatural. And so I guess I had a hard time even trying to believe that that could really happen because I don't. The way they make the tornado look, it's like 5 miles wide. Well, I mean, I've seen a 2.6 mile wide tornado in El Reno, but I've never seen anything to that extent. So I thought it was a little overdrawn. And when they were talking about the winds being 300 miles an hour, I'm not saying that part couldn't happen because it apparently has happened before, but for it to be that size and like it was, I don't see it. And so maybe eventually, as I watch it more and more, I'll grasp on to the visual aspects and kind of get a better look at it. And so with that, Tyler, what were your thoughts on this tornado? I mean, do you think they oversized it? Do you think they over exaggerated it too much or not enough?
See, I think they didn't exaggerate it enough. I mean, my thing is, in the tornadoes in Twister felt like actual characters. Like the F5 in Twister, as a kid, scared the crap out of me. Like it, like that tornado was so violent. Like even like it's completely fake, but that tornado had power. It was just terrifying. I mean, and Into the Storm, I just feel like the EF5 is kind of lackluster, for lack of a better term. Um, I mean, that tornado didn't really have any personality. I feel like Twister had a lot more fun with the debris aspect. With the throwing the tractors, throwing the semi, the house flipping across on the highway. I just feel like if this tornado really is as strong as they say it is, I just feel like they would have went all all out on it. Um, like I know that's kind of a stupid thing to pick out is the debris intake because like the tornado didn't have enough debris for me. If it's going through a town like it is, shouldn't it have more debris? Because I mean, even the EF5 and more last year, that probably went through the same area as this fictional town is, and that tornado had so much debris in it. So I just don't think they went out enough on this tornado. Although that airport scene is badass. That is a cool scene. Um, what do you think of that?
Um, that was actually one that kind of sticks out in my mind when I think about the movie itself, and I don't feel like the planes did enough. Like I felt like there was a whole plane here and a whole plane here, but there should have been pieces of a plane here and pieces. And one cool effect that I thought would have been pretty cool is when the two planes are up in the air in the tornado, they should have collided and made like a kind of like an
Explosion.
explosion. It doesn't have to be a big explosion or a great explosion, but to make an explosion nonetheless. And I mean, it was the tornado. I think was fine when there were two separate tornadoes, but when they merged, that's when it just kind of threw me off. Just if they could find a way to not make it so large, then I guess it would be more believable. But it's kind of hard to imitate real life because this stuff happens and we don't plan it. It just happens. We can't, unfortunately, we can't tell with tornadoes and with the movie it's planned. So I know that kind of makes it hard at the same time.
I kind of feel like they should have left the two tornadoes separate. I think that would have made more of a terrifying effect because we saw that exact same thing happen in Pilger, Nebraska in June, where two EF4 tornadoes were within a mile apart of each other and did some very substantial damage. So I feel like that, like I think I can speak for both of us, Mark. Watching that live on TV was amazing but scary at the same time because I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before.
It was that day was a pretty crazy day. I know when we were going to go to Nebraska on that day in June, we were set on going, but I remember I wasn't so sure about going, and so I guess for that reason I kind of backed out, and so we missed a great opportunity. But it's hard to say what days are going to be great and what's not. Today there were a couple tornadoes that have happened, and I chose not to go out and chase. And I don't regret today's decision because I be honest, I
don't either,
and I didn't want to chase. And I know you're kind of far away, and I was hoping they'd be further south. But just like that day back in June up there in Nebraska, that was. I don't think anybody was planning on that kind of a day to happen with the tornadoes the way they played out, where there's three at the same time. Like that's crazy, and I don't really know if that's been heard of, but I'm not saying that it couldn't happen because obviously it did.
I mean, I think they've been documented before. I just don't think it was to this extent of two very large half-mile wide wedge tornadoes being that close to each other from the same storm. Were they two separate mesocyclones, or was it one mesocyclone?
As far as I know, there was two going on, but I don't know where they were separated at. So I know that it was highly talked about that there was two, but I haven't seen as much information as I want to see, and so that's definitely something that I would like to do is to do more information. And as a geophysics student and atmospheric science minor, I would like to look more into these tornadoes that have happened and just kind of get a little more acquainted with what had happened between them.
We have one person watching, and it's not Connor. It says he won't let him watch without using his webcam and mic, so I'm gonna try and fix that for him. But while I'm trying to do that, what do you think of those multiple vortice tornadoes where they had to go in the church, which led into the fire tornado?
Well, I mean, they got it really accurate, I would say, because multi-vortice tornadoes are very possible. I mean, that's with a lot of tornadoes, and they can obviously they spin a lot faster than the parent tornado. just because they're smaller. You think of it like a figure skater. If she's going around in a circle, or he, if they're going around in a circle, then they're going so fast. But if they pull their arms and legs in and they get tighter, then they get more of a speed. And so it can be a lot faster with the multi-vortices. And so people don't realize, they say, I got hit by a tornado. Well, I mean, you did, but, it may have been one of those vortexes that hit you. And it's hard to tell. I mean, if you look at the damage path of a tornado, generally it's just a distinct path. But I've heard of some reports where they can see, yeah, there was a vortice that came through this area, or a vortice that came through that area.
Would you consider those multiple? Would you consider that a multiple vortex tornado, or do you think those were three separate tornadoes? Because I didn't really see it as multiple vortex. I just saw it as three separate rope tornadoes. But for like 2 seconds, they did have a multi-vortex tornado, just for like 2 seconds, and then it was just gone. But do you think that was a multi-vortex, or do you think those were three separate tornadoes?
I would almost be positive that they were three separate tornadoes. There was a multi-vortice tornado in there, but with before the gas truck and the explosion with that spark, there was there were the three tornadoes, but they were not close enough to have been from the same or from the same parent tornado. The two that were at the front, I could see being, plausible, being the same supercell, and the third one being a second supercell towards the rear. Which, I mean, it could have been the two on the right that were from the same cell, and the one on the left different. They could all be different. I don't know. But if I were to have to guess, it's just the front ones were closer than the back one, and generally. Assuming they're going north on the road, which I don't know, maybe they were going east, but I would assume that.
I feel like they were going north.
And that's how I feel, is that they're going north, which could make the two that were in front of them plausible as one cell.
Or they could possibly have been, since obviously the strongest tornado at that particular scene was that multi-vortex tornado, those could have just been a bunch of satellite tornadoes too.
And I mean, that's possible with the editing of this film. It's hard to tell, especially when they don't mention it behind the scenes, and you do research and you look this up and you can't really find much information on that. So we have to go with what we think it is, and so
right.
I would think that it would be two cells rather than one giant cell, or three different cells.
From what I could tell, and from reading about the making of the movie, I don't think they had any consultants or any actual meteorologists working on this film, which I think was a complete mistake for them, because as you know, Mark, Twister had so much input from meteorologists. They had Vortex going on at the time, which was at the time it was the biggest research project of tornado genesis, which is basically just how tornadoes form. So Twister is able to take data from that, and there were multiple meteorologists that had input on the film itself. And it's actually based off of real life events, not to that extent, of course, but of Dr. Howard Bluestein and all of his work with Toto. And I really think it was I just don't think they thought out the script very well. I don't think it's a very meteorologically. I don't think it was made for meteorologists. Is all I'm trying to say. like we can nitpick all we want, and I think it's because they didn't really do their research that much. Although I did appreciate a lot of the vocabulary, like we actually had a couple wall clouds in this movie, where we didn't have any wall clouds in Twister. But I feel like they just kind of threw words in there and didn't really give any thought into what it actually means. Um, what do you think about the meteorology aspect in this film?
I mean, as I'm not a meteorologist by any means. I'm just a college student in large storm chase who's going to school for atmospheric science. But I feel like they could have more accurately used the terms. With that, we had like when they would say the tornado is forming. Well, I mean it is technically, but it was a wall cloud. I mean not a funnel cloud, because funnel clouds don't touch the ground. Tornadoes do. And so when they say that a funnel cloud or that a tornado is coming together, it's still a wall cloud at the time. And so it's like they were a little ahead of themselves on terminology. I feel like they could have taken a step or two back and thought about it. But I'm not expecting a meteorologist to go in there and read the script over and say, well, this is what I would change and this is what I would do.
See, I feel like they should have done something like that at least. Because if they're trying to make it a more accurate film, then I feel like they should have used the resources, especially since they have tons more resources than Twister ever did. And I feel like Twister tried as best as they could for the time that the movie was made. So wrapping this up, Mark, what are your last impressions about this film, and what do you think about future tornado movies?
So with this one, as I said before, I think Tyler was out of the room. I said that I would watch it. I mean, it's an hour and a half. Yeah, some people say that's time they're not going to get back, but I really think it's worth giving a shot and giving your own opinion on it because I don't know. Maybe you haven't seen it yet. Maybe you have. But I would go watch it if you haven't. And it was a great movie overall. The effects, like I said, could have been better, but I enjoy a good tornado movie. Hell, I even enjoy, not of the Twisters, just because it's about tornadoes. Like if it's tornadoes, I can watch it, or severe weather in general. And as far as the future, with the better technology that we get, maybe we'll get like Twister 2, where we can get something similar to the first Twister. With greater visual effects and a great storyline, something that goes along with it. So I'm really excited about what can happen with future movies. And we've already done Vortex 2. Maybe there'll be a Vortex 3 or a Vortex 4, and we can use information from it and help make a better movie by 2030. There'll be a lot of movies out that can give us more accurate information and better details overall. So I would definitely watch it. But I appreciate your time today. What about yours, Tyler? How did you feel about the movie overall? If you were gonna have to like grade it, I guess.
Overall, I think I would give the movie maybe a B minus. Um, I I love the movie. As a movie, I'm not going. I think my biggest problem with watching this movie is well, at least the first couple of times I was going in thinking it was going to be more of an accurate depiction of these natural phenomenons, but I still enjoy the movie for what it is. It's not a great piece of, it's not a masterpiece like Twister is, but I do highly enjoy it still. It's a Twister movie, like you said. I also enjoy Night of the Twisters. I love tornado documentaries. I love anything that has tornadoes in it. That's actually why I love The Wizard of Oz so much, is because that Twister is just so unbelievably amazing and scary. And also, I kind of agree with you as far as the future of tornado movies are concerned. I just hope they would try try a little harder. I guess that's very vague, but I just feel like with all the resources they have now, and since we know more about tornadoes now than we did back in 1997, I just feel like they could try to make it more accurate, have more meteorologists get involved with the production of the movie, have someone look over the script, and have someone like a consultant, like Twister did back in the day. But yeah, overall, I really do love this movie. And like I said, I don't put it up with Twister. It doesn't even sleep in the same room as Twister. But yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about that. So, I'm Tyler, and that's Mark. Let me know in the comments below if you want us to talk more about meteorology, storm chasing, tornadoes, anything like that in a different show. Sorry if this is a very crappy show. This is kind of a test run because neither one of us have ever done this before. So you'll have to forgive us. But yeah, I guess we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.